All right, guys, happy freaking May 30th. It's Saturday. We made it through another week. We're totally ready to talk to you about some of the greatest and biggest topics in Hollywood today. Before we start there, I want to say first and foremost, I hope all of you have been having a fantastic week and weekend. And of course, we've got our wonderful and fabulous brand new co-host, Miss Rhiannon Roberts. Rhiannon, how have you been? Let us know.
Amazing. I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
We are feeling nice and tight, so we're ready for ready for the topics this week.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. So I just want to cut the BS out here. We're going to dive right into it because we got some really big news coming out today. And of course, I want to start off first with our first topic, and this is regarding Indiana Jones 5. Yes, you heard me. Indiana Jones 5. Holy crap, I never thought I'd be reading this, but let's start off here. And this is coming to us from Collider. Currently scheduled to be released by Disney in 2022, so that's what, 2 years away? Indy 5 originally had Steven Spielberg returning to direct Harrison Ford. Since then, we've learned that Spielberg has stepped away to allow James Mangold, he's the director of Logan, and also, I think, Academy Award-winning Ford v Ferrari, to take over the directorial debut duties. The first time anyone other than Spielberg has directed an Indiana Jones film. Marshall explained why Mangold was the ideal choice to take over for Spielberg. Quote, his love of the franchise. He's a wonderful filmmaker. I think he also has a relationship with Harrison. It was all of the right pieces coming together at the right time. Mangold is an expert at twisting old-fashioned genres and tropes with just enough postmodern intrigue to result in comforting, yet challenging Hollywood movies. And for those who are worried about Spielberg's exit, fear not. Steven is staying on as a producer, so we've got the best of everything. All right, so as far as qualifications go and statements go for a PR release, Rhiannon, I'm going to have to ask you, how are you feeling about a fifth entry to Indiana Jones, much less the fact that Steven Spielberg is not directing, and in fact, James Mangold will be taking the helm as director?
So I do love Indiana Jones, but let's just dive right into what is on everyone's mind. Harrison Ford is 77 years old. I can't imagine him doing all of those action tricks at 77 years old. Mangold is a phenomenal director. I have no problem with that. I love Spielberg, and it's a shame that he's out, but Mangold stepping in. That's amazing. But Harrison Ford is 77 years old.
Yikes.
And this was supposed to come out last year, wasn't it? And they haven't even done the script yet. So what, Harrison Ford will be 79 probably by the time they start filming it. He's be close to 80.
Right. Yeah, because if with a 2022 release date, if he's 77, 78, 79, so 79, 80 years old, give or take.
Yeah. It's going to take, I don't think he's going to start filming it at 77 years old. He's probably going to be 78 or 79 when they start filming the movie. Yeah. And I'm sorry, this sounds like age discrimination, but when it comes to an action film and you're the lead, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I mean, he already had issues. I don't know if it was his fault necessarily, but when he was filming, what was it? Star Wars, The Force Awakens. Yeah, he had an injury on set. Prop door fell in his leg. He was out for a couple of weeks. So
yeah. I can see it being more of Tom Hanks and Angels and Demons and Da Vinci Code,
right.
Playing more of an intellectual role and less physical role. Maybe that could be it.
Yes, duh.
Right?
That's the obvious choice they need to go with, because with Indiana Jones 4, it had moments of greatness, but I felt like there were they were very reliant on the fact of it trying to be an action movie, right? Like Indiana Jones swinging from the walls and jumping on cars and punching people. It's dude, no, he's aged out of that role. Yeah, he needs to play the intellectual mentor role at this juncture, right?
Exactly. I like that, the mentor role. So maybe they need to have someone else come in and play the action lead. And he just plays the mentor intellectual role who just kind of guides them through.
Yeah, I agree.
My yeah.
So, I want to turn to some of our viewer comments first. But before we do that, I want to ask you, how are you feeling about Mangold? I think you said you were pretty on board with that. You're on board with the fact that Spielberg is not having a director role, but is, firmly rooted in a producer role. What are your thoughts regarding that?
Right.
Oh, your thoughts.
Oh,
Of course,
me?
I've got thoughts too.
I thought you were asking the viewers. No, I really like Mangold. I like what he did with Wolverine.
Oh,
I thought it was a phenomenal film.
yeah.
He did really, really well on that. I do like Spielberg, but I don't know. I think that Mangold could take he would have like a fresh take on the whole Indiana Jones series.
Perfectly said.
Again, I'm sorry. It's just, I cannot talk about Indiana Jones without talking about how old Harrison Ford is. Like, I don't care how good the director is when you have an 80-year-old flying through the sky or jumping on cars. Like,
Yeah. No bueno.
sorry, I sound like I'm so, like, it sounds so bad when I talk about age discrimination. I really don't mean to sound like that. It's just, come on, Mangold. Like, figure out a good way to incorporate an 80-year-old as the lead in an action film.
Yeah. I have to say, I'm pretty interested in seeing Mangold's take on this, provided the fact, like I said, he blew out the water, or whatever the phrase is, with Logan. A great conclusion to the Wolverine story. It did phenomenally well with Ford v Ferrari. I think it would be, like you said, a fresh take on the franchise. Spielberg has had his hand with the Indiana Jones series since its inception, alongside George Lucas. Most notably, the fourth entry was a bit of a disappointment. So, I don't think necessarily having Spielberg attached as a director is going to guarantee quality. So, provided that context, I think, yeah, now's as good a time as any to have some fresh blood injected into the franchise. That's my thoughts on that there. So, I want to turn it to you guys, as always. Of course, we're going to go over into the live chat over yonder. Send me your questions, your comments by highlighting my name at MoviePop. I'll answer it here on the screen. I did see one here from Mr. Paul in Long Beach. And of course, as always, brother, I want to thank you so much for being here, man. We're all happy to have you here. I know you have your comments. Remember, guys, send us an email, and you can do that to me, DJ, at moviepop.org. Or you can hit me up on social media. You'll see it there. It's at Real Movie Pop on Twitter, at Movie Pop Official on Instagram. And you can submit your topic of the week or a viewer letter, and I'll read it on screen. So without further ado, I want to turn it to our viewer questions and comments, and then we'll go into the next topic. And of course, as I said, Paul in Long Beach, he's saying this: Indiana Jones and the colostomy bag from hell. Where are we going to find the missing Metamucil?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a better title than, what was it? Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull or some nonsense like that?
Yeah, and Shia LaBeouf was in that one, wasn't he?
He was.
Shia LaBeouf.
I love Shia, actually.
Yeah,
I like
Blanchett. Yeah, Kate Blanchett. She played like a really strict, like German evil role, right? Didn't she?
She did. Yeah.
From what I remember.
She talked with a German accent like this.
Yeah. I wasn't too impressed with the Crystal Skull one.
Yeah.
So that's why, like what you said, like with Spielberg stepping out, like
no harm, no foul.
I have high hopes for Mangold. Just put Harrison Ford into like an intellectual mentor role. Yeah. Don't have him swinging around.
Yep. All right, guys. So let's move on to our second topic of the day, and this one here is coming to us from the fine folks at Deadline. And of course, I'm sure you've all heard, Scott Derrickson is set to direct a Labyrinth sequel for TriStar Pictures. So for all of you 80s babies out there, if you are not aware, Labyrinth was one of the seminal films of that era. It's also gained a cult following and stars one A-list actress I'm sure you've heard of in this time. That's God, I'm forgetting her name now. Jennifer Connelly.
Jennifer Connelly, yeah, with the brows.
With the brows, man, those hot brows. All right, she's only second to me in terms of a brow thickness and weight.
Yeah.
All right. So here comes from Deadline, guys. Scott Derrickson, who passed on reprising as director on Doctor Strange 2. Now, remember, he was the director for Doctor Strange, the first one. He has since reportedly been replaced by Sam Raimi to take the reins for the sequel to Doctor Strange. Now, he had left the project over creative differences, but has found a new fantasy franchise to take on. He has been set by TriStar Pictures. God, TriStar Pictures. You remember that? That's
Yeah,
almost.
long ago.
That's like next to the like Touchstone Pictures and
Yeah,
New Line Cinema, like those big,
yeah,
big studios from like the '90s.
yeah, I remember.
Well, anyhow, he's stepped by TriStar Pictures to direct a sequel to Jim Henson's Labyrinth. Maggie Levin, who wrote and directed Into the Dark and My Valentine for Hulu, will also write the script. The 1986 original starred David Bowie and Jennifer Connelly and has maintained a cult status for over 3 decades, leading to tie-in novels and comic books, video games, perennial screenings, and even an annual fan masquerade ball, which is considered to be one of the largest in the world. So I saw this news here, Rhiannon. Guys, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to take a hit here for the team. I haven't seen the Labyrinth movie in full. So this news, while it seems cool to me on the periphery just for nostalgia's sake, doesn't really ring any bells for me. So, of course, guys, I want to ask you first and foremost, and then Rhiannon, how does this news hit you?
Gosh. Okay, so who's going to replace David Bowie?
I have an answer.
So
I'll come back to that.
epic.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Because like who's going to live up to David Bowie? And like, I mean, it's a sequel, so like, didn't they set it up in the last film, from what I heard, that Toby the baby, right, was going to like be like the Goblin King? I might be wrong. I might be.
You might as well be speaking Chinese because I have no idea what you're
Right.
talking about.
Oh, okay. That's right. You didn't watch it, but for those who did
Goblin
watch
Baby?
it,
Yeah, I'm checking
right.
out already.
David Bowie played like the Goblin King, from what I remember. Okay, this is like 80s. I was born in 89, guys. Okay, so like I watched it in the 90s. So I didn't see it in theaters, obviously, but I watched it in school when they would play it when there was nothing else but The Sandlot. So with The Labyrinth, I just remember that David Bowie played the Goblin King, and they kind of set it up for the baby Toby to probably be the Goblin King. So maybe that would be an interesting sequel. As long as they're not remaking the film, I'm fine with that. Because you can't remake The Labyrinth.
No, yeah, I don't think I don't think it's going to be a remake. At least from what I'm reading here, it should be a direct sequel. So it does raise some questions regarding whether or not, yeah, like you said, who's going to reprise the role, presumably, of the character that David Bowie played, which I guess was a Goblin Baby.
Yeah.
And then will Jennifer Connelly return for the role? I'm curious.
I hope
about
she
that.
does. She's kind of like coming back again.
Now
I've seen her in stuff lately, so she should be in it.
Gosh, I had such a fantastic. Okay. Have you ever seen Tron Legacy?
Yes. Wait, which one? The
the-
most recent one?
The most
Or the
recent
original?
one.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The one with Olivia Wilde.
Yes. So
Yeah.
I thought this guy would be a perfect replacement character for David Bowie because when I saw his performance in Tron, as you can see here,
Okay.
Castor, this guy
Yeah.
totally had David Bowie vibes to me. And I thought, like, wow, if there's anybody who could play a character that Bowie played, it would be him.
Okay.
God, I'm not sure. Michael Sheen is his name. He played Castor, a.k.a. Zeus, in the Tron Legacy. You know that guy at the end of the Line Club? Like, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about. I know him most notably. I know Michael Sheen from Underworld. He plays. Sorry, I like dark stuff.
Is that the Kate Beckinsale? Is that who that's in that?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he plays a werewolf in that. Yeah, I can see that. And he's British.
Right. Yeah, he's a little flamboyant, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Fun fact: he was married to Kate Beckinsale.
Oh, all right then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fun facts all around.
I see what you're talking about.
Right. Yeah, I could see that definitely. Anyhow.
I think they should just get rid of that character altogether. Just like David Bowie, rest in peace, and like have like a new like Goblin King.
Yeah, I mean that's totally one valid way to go about it too, because it does present all sorts of problems. So yeah, if you just kind of nix the character out and bring someone new in,
Yeah.
problem solved
Yeah.
more or less. Of course, I don't really have much to say about it because I'm not sure about what the whole, how the whole movie ended up. So
Right.
yeah,
I kind of forgot this was years ago, but I'm curious as to what the viewers have to say about what they think about bringing back David Bowie's character or just scrapping it and bringing back a new Goblin King.
interesting.
Who knows? Maybe Jennifer Connelly will be the new Goblin King.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah, she's still kicking. She's still
Mhm.
alive. So yeah, I think that
Yeah.
at least,
Yeah.
as someone who hasn't seen the film at all, it sounds like a good idea to me. So
Yeah.
perfect segue, as you said, Rhiannon. Guys, we're
Mhm.
going to turn it to you. What are your thoughts? Let us know in the live chat over yonder. Of course, for those of you watching after the broadcast, leave us your comments down below, and we'll be talking it up with you and seeing what your thoughts are on the Labyrinth sequel. So without further
Yeah.
ado, let's move into the third topic of the day. And this one, again, is coming to us from Deadline. And here we are. We're ramping it up, guys, because
Mm-hmm.
we've got some Superman news. And I'm sure you heard. If you haven't heard yet, well, here's the skinny. We haven't seen the last of Henry Cavill's Man of Steel.
Uh,
Ooh, did I just
he's,
hear you?
I'm sorry. He's the perfect Superman.
He is.
He's also the perfect Geralt in Witcher.
Oh yeah, no. And
He's
he's
so
also
good.
just got like the perfect body too. So it's just three for
I
three.
mean, I didn't notice that.
Don't worry, I'll speak for all us women out there. All right,
he's,
so
he's he's a good actor. That's
yeah, that too. He's just firing on all cylinders. So
yeah,
let's
exactly.
see.
I don't care about his body. Hmm. But
Wow,
no, he's a really phenomenal Superman. I think he's like the best Superman that they've ever cast.
I think so
In
too.
my opinion.
And
Yeah.
it's interesting because I don't think he's been served well by the script and the
Mm-mm.
eventual final cuts of the films that he starred in, unfortunately. Now, of course, that's
Right.
all up for debate and that's all subjective, but that's my personal opinion. And of course, it sounds like it's yours too. So
Yeah.
this is really interesting, though, because I think it does give us a glimmer of hope regarding our sour opinions of the best Superman ever to exist and
Yes.
some, and what some could say are kind of lackluster adaptations of the property.
Hmm.
While
Yeah.
there is not a Man of Steel sequel in the works, we're hearing that Henry Cavill is in talks to reprise his role in the Warner Brothers DC universe. That's super exciting. We hear that
Yeah.
Cavill could come back in a couple of different ways, though not in a standalone film. But there are plans to put him back in the big red cape again. Warner Brothers, of course, is not developing a Man of Steel sequel, so at least that's what they're saying for now. Superman is not expected to make a cameo in Matt Reeves' The Batman either, which we all know, of course, is the planned new franchise for Batman to come out, I think, next year or 2 years from now. Other projects where Cavill could make a cameo are, of course, Shazam 2 against Dwayne Johnson's Black Adam or Aquaman 2, which are the next productions to be prepped.
Mm.
So, Rhiannon,
Hmm.
it seems like we're both fans of Henry Cavill's interpretation of Superman.
Oh,
We think he's the best.
yes.
He's been in some bad
Hmm.
films. How does this news strike you? And how do you think this will be received by general audiences for a sequel to Man of Steel, which came out, what, in 2011? Or,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, exactly. I think it also depends on who directs it because if it's anything like the disaster of Justice League, then
Oh,
eh.
geez. Yeah.
But if you, yeah, you just mentioned a really good point. If they mix together Superman and Aquaman, ooh, I'm gonna be lining up for that because of the acting. Because of the acting.
The act, of course, just the acting.
Yeah, the acting's
Yeah.
phenomenal on both parts, Jason Momoa and Henry Cavill.
Right.
I'm moaning because the acting is phenomenal.
I'm going to say the
And
same thing, no homo.
just the whole idea of the two combining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It, I mean, let's throw it into let's get some threesome going on here because then you've got also the option of Dwayne the Rock
Yeah.
Johnson playing
Oh, yeah.
Black Adam. Like that alone
Yeah.
is a big blockbuster title. Like Dwayne the Rock
Yeah.
Johnson is here as Black Adam. Like that, tickets sold already. I'm in.
Hey,
Then you add into that,
yes.
like he's gonna face off against Henry
Yeah.
Cavill for Superman.
No, you got to bring in the male audience too. You got to put Gal Gadot
Oh
as like,
snap!
woman.
Okay. Oh shit.
Right.
That is
That's gonna blow up theaters right there.
one more time. What was that?
Oh, it's going to blow up movie theaters everywhere. Like
No,
everyone's
yeah.
going to be
I was gonna say
laughing.
that is basically like dynamite underneath movie theaters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People be saying
Man.
that. Mm-hmm.
Now
Yeah.
this is interesting. Now, I didn't want to cover this topic either. I think some other people on YouTube were talking about this, but there is news in the rumor mill regarding who might direct a Superman sequel. And I won't talk about this too long, guys. And of course, let me get your typing fingers ready for those of you watching in the live chat. Queue up your questions, your thoughts. Highlight my name at MoviePop. I'll read it here on screen. It's all good. And of course, for those of you watching afterwards, comment below. But let's talk about this. Henry Cavill coming back as Superman in a Man of Steel sequel. Who would direct it? Rhiannon, you said perfectly. It totally depends on who the director is because, like you mentioned, that Justice League, for all intents and purposes, from my own personal perspective, was a complete bag of crap. And there are a lot of reasons why that happened, right? Because we all know Zack Snyder is a competent director. He left the project at some period during the production. It was taken over by Joss Whedon. We know there's a lot of studio interference by the heads at Warner Brothers Studios at the time, which definitely muddied the waters in terms of what Zack Snyder's original vision was. Hence, the news we covered on last weekend's broadcast regarding the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League, which is going to be a completely new and brand new take on what that film should have been. So obviously we didn't get what we should have gotten. And that's largely in part due to the director not being able to have creative control. So that question I ask you, beautiful viewing audience, and of course Rhiannon, the rumor mill suggests right now that J.J. Abrams of Bad Robot Productions is tied and has penned a script, not in any recent history, but years ago, for a Superman reboot or continuation of some sort. So I have plenty to say about this. My thoughts on J.J. Abrams range from praise to hate. Rhiannon, if J.J. Abrams were to reboot or start the Superman franchise, how does that ring to you?
I love JJ and I love his lens flares. I'm sorry. Like I know some people hate on it, but I love his lens flares.
I do too.
I'm a big fan of JJ Abrams. And I know that you weren't like the biggest fan on like the modern Star Trek films, but like when he did Star Trek, I was like visually captivated. And that's all that matters to me. You also have to have a script too, but I really thought that he did a phenomenal job with that.
Right.
And just imagine Superman like flying through the air, lens flare, lens flare, lens flare. Aquaman comes out, lens flare. Yeah.
Lens flare, lens flare. You get lens flare. You get lens flare. Everybody gets lens flare. JJ Lens Flare Abrams. I have to agree with you. Now I know it's kind of like his shtick. For all intents and purposes, I love J.J. Abrams. I love the lens flare aesthetic. I love his colorful, fast-paced cinematography. His scripts are tight. They're fun. A lot of levity. Great at re-energizing, reinvigorating a franchise or rebooting it, restarting it, whatever. But I think, as we all know, J.J., at least it's him holding the helms on any franchise property, always drops the ball towards the end. So my thoughts... We'll see.
Maybe he learned from his last mistakes. Maybe he'll come back and be strong.
Hey, I'm all for it. Especially in the case of JJ bootstrapping this project, getting the Superman franchise kind of like rebooted again. I think JJ is phenomenal at doing that. I think he brings the right amount of levity to the Superman franchise because we don't know. Zack Snyder, he had a darker take on Man of Steel. Hey, you can appreciate it. I appreciated it. I don't necessarily think it worked out. So in this modern era where coronavirus is, destroying the world, we've got protests and riots and yada, yada, yada. hey, why not bring back the classic American superhero who inspires us to be our best in a
Yeah.
joyful, kind of cool way? I think, yeah, JJ would be
Amen.
prime for that, right?
Amen to that. I agree. Yeah, for sure.
Amen, brother, sisters, all of you guys watching. Let us know your comments and thoughts over yonder and over yonder. Without further ado, let's jump into our fourth topic before we get into a quick commercial break. Something new this week, guys. Not to the production quality that I'd like normally, but at least it's something better than watching that damn Delta commercial looped twice over. So
I love that commercial. What are you talking about?
all right, guys, this one is coming to us from the Hollywood Reporter, and my lord, it's regarding Apple. That's right, Apple, the computer manufacturer, whatever you want to call them. Jeez, they're a content company now, apparently, with Apple TV Plus, and no better way to kind of solidify that fact with regards to this topic. And this is coming to us again from the Hollywood Reporter, stating that Apple is to partner with Paramount Pictures for Martin Scorsese's Killers of the Flower Moon. That headline right there already. What the hell? Apple Computers partnering with a 100-plus-year-old movie studio that is Paramount Pictures to produce one of the greatest film directors of all time, Martin Scorsese, in his next film. Whoa. Okay. Right.
And Leonardo DiCaprio was in it too. So.
Oh God! Wow! Right? Yeah. I mean, what? Geez. Who else? I think was De Niro. De Niro too, right?
Yeah, De Niro's in it too. So Leo and De Niro.
I think it wasn't mentioned in this article, but I think Rhiannon that actually, I think Pacino also might be in this as well. Maybe I might have misread that in some past articles. Did you hear anything about that?
I didn't hear anything, but I did hear about De Niro and DiCaprio because Scorsese loves them.
Right.
He's worked with DiCaprio like 5 different times that I know of, and then De Niro like at least twice.
Those are his go-to guys,
Yeah, exactly. Let's just hope it's. I'm sorry, I just have to throw this out there, but The Irishman. Did you see The Irishman on Netflix?
I sure did.
I was sorely disappointed. So let's hope that he redeems himself and brings back his great in this one.
No, I hear you, and I wouldn't say I did a scathing review on it, but to summarize, I thought The Irishman I thought displayed Scorsese at his best, and he did his usual shtick to excellence. It didn't push the boundaries any further than that. So it's if you kind of seen Goodfellas and Casino and his gangster mob films, you kind of seen The Irishman. That's basically it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I read something where it was 18% of people. These numbers might be wrong, but it was something about 18% of people actually finished watching The Irishman.
Yikes. Well, yeah, it was almost 4 hours.
Yeah.
I took an hour nap halfway through, actually. So it was a 5-hour movie.
We watched it all the way through, and by the end, I was falling asleep.
Yeah.
I mean, the acting was phenomenal. The makeup was really well done. It's just something was lacking, and I really hope that he learned from that because not a lot of people watch it from start to finish. So hopefully he learned from that and is able to bring back his old oomph into this one.
Oomph. And oomph is a key word here because I think we might have that oomph coming with Killers of the Flower Moon. So Martin Scorsese's high-priced period thriller, of course, we've all been talking about this for weeks or months on end here, that has the filmmaker's frequent collaborator, Leonardo DiCaprio, attached to star, has found a deep-pocketed partner. Apple is in final talks with Paramount to partner and produce the project, which carries a price tag of more than $150 million. The move comes after months of the project's backers looking for ways to mitigate the cost of the feature, which kept escalating. MGM and Netflix were among the potential suitors that kicked the tires. Interesting.
Wow. Well, Scorsese also always goes over budget from what I've read.
Yes.
Always.
Yeah, I mean, The Irishman was point in case, which is why Netflix had to pick it up because most studios were dude, yeah, you're kind of a niche market in this day and age, sad to say, despite how quality your films are. that combined in tandem with the budget of your films and not really the audience trying to salivate over it, we're not really ready to fully finance this and distribute it in exhibition theaters. So funnily enough, Paramount Studios, which we've all know has had box office not hit, but bomb after box office bomb. I mean, what was the last big bomb Paramount had? Gemini Man, big action tentpole, Ang Lee, Will Smith, huge budget, crap script, bombed at the box office. Ghost in the Shell. We know. I'm wearing the damn shirt. We always talking about this. $170 million. So one among many. So interesting that Paramount is at least doing the wise thing and hey, getting Apple on board. Sources say that the price tag on this was actually $150 million, or is that right? Because apparently it budgeted to a reported $225 million. And so this article kind of talks about some of the reasons behind that. DiCaprio, Scorsese, and De Niro essentially making equivalent to $20 million each for this, placing the budget on that aspect alone for their services at $55 to $60 million, not including production costs, marketing, all that jazz. So, yeah. I think we both kind of expressed our thoughts midway through the article on this, Rhiannon.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I had to just jump into that.
Yeah. No. Guys, what are your thoughts on this? You know the drill. Highlight my name, comment below. I see Paul in Long Beach here is saying, he says, really, emo Superman? What about emo Superman, man? I'm down with it. Yeah, I honestly, I could probably see something more along the lines of a Brandon Routh in Superman Returns. I could see Cavill playing like a lighthearted Superman, But yeah, I mean, I at least appreciated what Snyder was trying to do with it. Give you a more grounded, in reality, grittier take on Superman. But yeah, I don't think the character really lends itself to that kind of narrative. So yeah, emo Superman, Paul.
Spot on with that.
Paul in Long Beach says, I also agreed with your review. The Irishman was only okay. So yeah, we're not alone, Rhiannon.
Yeah, not thrilled. It wasn't like anything like The Aviator or any of his past films. Yeah.
Speaking of
which, Wolf of Wall Street.
Thank you. I was going to ask you about that, and I forgot because I was talking so much.
I have mixed reviews about Wolf of Wall Street, so but like overall, I mean the cinematography and the way that it was packaged together was really well. It was really well done. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite Scorsese film before we go to commercial break here?
I love The Aviator. The Aviator was, I don't know, I just thought it was really well done. I never saw Shutter Island.
I
keep naming like Leonardo DiCaprio films, but yeah, I never saw Shutter Island. And I'm a big fan of scary movies.
You need to see Shutter Island.
And psychological thrillers.
Oh, dude,
so I don't know
it's all wrapped up in a nice, pretty bow. You said it's Shutter Island.
Gangs of New York. But Gangs of New York was phenomenal too. I mean, it's just so many of his films were so great. And then like I never even think of The Irishman as being one of his top films. Yeah. He has so many good ones. And I just don't know where he dropped the ball on that one. How about you? So you agree is Shutter Island is your favorite?
110%. Yeah.
Okay, I have to see it then.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. I'm gonna see it.
Gangs of New York, I wasn't too hot on, but I'll have to probably.
Really?
I think because I thought it was going to be like a period piece in like 1920s or 30s, like Art Deco, gangster mob, Great Depression era. And then when I saw like, oh no, this is like in like 1800s or late 1700s, I was like, oh, they're all like a bunch of like a bunch of Scottish and Irish people with their.
Like fresh off the boat.
Right, fresh off the boat gangsters. I'm like, oh, okay, that's not what I was expecting, so it kind of threw me off. But that's all on me. So
yeah, I just thought the acting was phenomenal in that too. So I don't know.
All right.
But the Aviator would have to be mine then.
Yeah, I like that one. Love it. Howard Hughes, The Way of the Future.
Yeah. And I love just seeing like him slowly going crazy.
So, of course, guys, a question, I'll turn it back to you. What's your favorite Scorsese film? Let me know. Let me know your thoughts regarding Apple partnering with Paramount Pictures to make a new Scorsese film at a reported $225 million budget. And we'll be right back with you after this short commercial break.
I'm already on.
All right, guys, thank you so much. I hope you had a nice, quick little 5-minute break there. We just talked about SpaceX. Rhiannon, why don't you take it away on that? That's totally your forte.
Oh, I'm just going to sum it up really briefly. Congratulations to SpaceX for launching astronauts into space for the first time in the United States, in like 9 years since the shuttle program. So pretty amazing that we didn't have to use Russian rockets for that. So
yeah, or Kazakhstan rockets, as you said, alongside astronaut Borat.
Yeah, they have to launch from Kazakhstan. But anyway, I'm gonna have to rewatch the feed, but that looked really cool. So these two.
USA, USA.
Yeah. Yeah, go Elon. Way to go,
dude.
for
Seriously.
SpaceX team. Congratulations.
All right. So on that note, let's move it from space exploration to exploration of quantum mechanics and time dilation, because we all know, we've been talking about it. Christopher Nolan's newest film, Tenet, is scheduled to debut July 17th, tentatively, depending on, of course, government regulations regarding the pandemic. But here we have some more insider news regarding the film, and I think it was worth mentioning to you guys. So let's read what IndieWire has reported regarding Christopher Nolan's Tenet. The official trailer last week sent Christopher Nolan fans on a mission to figure out what time inversion means. And it sounds like the answer wasn't that easy for Tenet cast to understand either. John David Washington, who of course is the son of Denzel Washington, is front and center in Tenet, starring as a time-inverting spy character known only as the protagonist. Washington said not a day of filming went by when he wasn't picking Nolan's brains for answers to the Tenet story. Every day I had answers for Nolan, Washington said, but he was very gracious and he answered them very calmly and patiently. It was important that the actors could track the story correctly so we could tell it the best way we could. And he was very patient with us. I say that very politely. Nolan says his intention with Tenet is, of course, to take moviegoers' expectations of the spy genre and shatter them. The director said, "It's a film of great ambition and great scale that takes the genre, namely the spy film, and tries to take it into some new territories. And it tries to take the audience on a ride they might not have had before and might not be expecting. We're looking at, first and foremost, giving the audience an incredible ride in the spy movie genre, but using the audience's facility with following the conventions of that genre that push it into some interesting and unexpected territory." So the question, of course, is, will moviegoers understand Tenet? Robert Pattinson told GQ magazine earlier this month that he still doesn't understand Tenet.
After he filmed it.
Right. Jeez. Yeah, good point. After he freaking filmed the movie, is working with the director, reading the script, and you're still like, I don't really know what's going on here.
Because I hear a lot of times, sorry to interrupt, but I hear a lot of times, actors are only on set for, their segments. Mm-hmm. And sometimes actors don't like to read the entire script. They like to just memorize their lines and that one scene that they're in. Yeah. So maybe he purposely, didn't want to, he just wants to be surprised like the rest of us. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, I think that might be the case too. And I mean, when you've been on set, because you've had experience in this regard. Yeah. Yeah. I imagine the same thing would be applied to you, right? Like you only have very specific insights into the script.
Right. In order for me, when I did acting, I would try and get into the character by only reading what parts I was in. So how would I react to that scene, rather than knowing everything that was going to go on behind the scenes, because I didn't want to know things that I wasn't supposed to know as the character.
Gotcha.
That was just me personally when I briefly did acting, from the time I was 4 to 24, just brief time.
Yeah, and that's been my understanding, anyways. In terms of how actors manage their roles, what they're aware of, and also in terms of how our production schedules rolled out. And the film is shot generally non-linearly. Sometimes they'll start with the ending sequence.
Oh yeah,
first day of shooting.
I just learned in Titanic, the nude scene was the first scene that they filmed. Oh. Yeah. Way to meet each other, right? Kate meet Leo. Hi, okay, take your clothes off. Right. And he's like, okay. was the very first scene that they ever shot. So yeah, they shoot it out of sequence.
Yeah, James Cameron setting the bar high. Let's just start with the
He's just like,
dirty.
okay, let's just get naked, guys.
So, guys, the article does continue here. Although Nolan maintains that fully comprehending his new movie means accepting there are major ambiguities that have to be parsed out afterwards. A complete grasp of the script in the case of Tenet is one that understands and acknowledges the need for this film to live on in audience's mind and suggests possibilities in the audience's mind. Warner Brothers, of course, is set to open Tenet in theaters July 17th, although the release date could be delayed, yada, yada, yada. I've already said this. So here's what I think is interesting about this article. And of course, I highlighted it in red here. Although Nolan maintains that fully comprehending his new movie means accepting there are major ambiguities that have to be parsed out afterwards. So I tie this back into some of Nolan's most critically praised films. Interstellar. You know the ending of that. You might wonder, well, what the hell happened to Cooper? Did he go find Dr. Brands? What happened there? What was the other one? Oh gosh, Inception. How did Cobb? Did Cobb see his children? Did that really happen? Was the whole movie a dream? All of these things have to be parsed out afterwards. It's a major ambiguity left to audience interpretation, and I think that really is the hallmark of a true visionary film director. It doesn't give you a direct answer and allows the film to breathe and live into the collective societal narrative and framework for generations and decades for us movie nerds to talk about. So reading that, Rhiannon, I mean, what are your thoughts here? How does that jive you?
Well, so you're gonna laugh. The very first time I saw the Tenet trailer was today.
Oh,
And
dude, nice,
now,
perfect.
now I understand why you're so pumped to see this film because it looks very enticing. It's like a new version of like a James Bond, in my opinion.
Boom.
I'm really excited to see this. So
James
yeah, I like the
Bond,
whole time travel aspect. Yeah.
right?
Huh?
No, I was gonna say, yeah,
Yeah.
like it reminds me of a James Bond film, but like James Bond impregnated Inception and made a
Yes.
baby movie.
It now I'm on the bandwagon. Now I understand why you're so excited for it. So I'm like every time you talked about Tenet, like I just knew what it was about, but I didn't see the trailer for it, and I don't know why I didn't see
Dude,
it.
and honestly, guys, I'm gonna tell you this. I'm watching the trailer. I've seen that. I honestly, of all the trailers that have been released, the original teaser trailer that I don't even think you can find online now. It was released overseas, I think most notably in Russia. That one was my favorite. I loved the feeling that they communicated to the audience about what this would be about. And I saw the subsequent first trailer and then the most recent trailer that came out, I think about a week ago. Honestly, for me, I wasn't too impressed, and not because it doesn't look great, but I'm kind of biased in my opinion. I thought that unreleased teaser trailer overseas was better, but then I also had the pleasure, Rhiannon. I saw 6 minutes of Tenet on large format IMAX 70 millimeter projection at AMC City Walk theaters in December before the Rise of Skywalker. Yeah, special engagement. Those 6 minutes. Holy shizballs, like
just sucked you in.
sucked me right in, man. Like everything, like the acting, the sound design, the cinematography, like the intrigue of like, what the hell am I watching? What's going on? Like beat by beat by beat, like classic Nolan. So I think it's going to be freaking awesome. It's going to be his greatest and biggest film. So yeah, I just want to throw that out there.
I'm excited now for it too. But I didn't see the Russian trailer. Apparently, Russians are much better at editing than Americans.
Right. All right, guys.
Just need to get Russian movie trailer people to get on everything here.
I'll see what I can find for my Russian contacts for you.
Yes, please.
All right, guys. So, of course, I want to know your thoughts here. Of course, let me know in the live chat. Highlight my name at MoviePop. And, of course, leave your comments down below for all you sexy mother jivers watching after the broadcast. So let's move into our sixth topic, guys. We've got only 9 this week, so let's not waste any time. This one is coming to us from The Hollywood Reporter. And yes, right in time, right in line. With theaters reopening in July for that Tenet film, Regal owner Cineworld expects to reopen cinemas in July and also boost their liquidity. Now, this is going to get a little nerdy, but let's bear with me here because I know we're all just waiting to get back in these theaters. So this is important. The company also gets a debt covenant waiver. And of course, if you're wondering what the hell is a debt covenant waiver, well, that's basically an agreement between a lender, being the banks, and the borrower, being Cineworld. Basically establishing stipulations in regards to how the business will operate for the best possible outcome of operations and profit generation. That would, of course, be paid back to the lender who is financing the debt for the company. So those stipulations, those rules set in a contract by a lender to a borrower have been waived in light of this whole global pandemic. So that's great news, knowing that lenders are also giving some grace to theaters to allow them to rebuild and recoup finances to come back into a healthy operation. So saying that it will have, of course, Regal, Cineworld, saying it will have sufficient headroom to support the group, even in the unlikely event cinemas remain closed until the end of this year. So Cineworld, they've got the financing secured until the end of the year if they were, in the worst case scenario, meant to be shut down. Exhibition giant Cineworld, which owns the Regal circuit in the U.S., said Thursday it expects to reopen its cinemas in July and received a waiver from its lenders on a debt covenant amid the novel coronavirus pandemic. It also raised additional liquidity, that's additional cash that they can use for spending outside of bonds and stocks and all yada, yada, yada. Saying that it would allow, I'm repeating myself now. So the company concluded, couple quotes here, that Cineworld expects that this additional liquidity, to the extent required, will provide it with sufficient headroom to support the group until the end of the year. Okay. So they are excited by the great movie lineup to follow the reopening of their cinemas, starting with the highly anticipated new Chris Nolan film, Tenet, and immediately after that, Mulan, which we know is scheduled for release March 27th this year. Now is going to follow Tenet a week after. So, of course, guys, I want to ask you what your thoughts are on theaters reopening in July. I know Paul in Long Beach here, I know you may have mentioned in the past that you're not going to be among the first wave of people to get back into a theater where, of course, I'm waving my hands in your face and saying, yeah, dude, I'm totally excited. Sign me up right now. I'll get my sweet ass in that theater today if they're open. Rhiannon.
Yeah, I think I'm going to invest in a bubble suit so I can go see Milan and Tenet because, I'm still fearful of I've already been sick with this, so I don't want to get it again. It's pretty bad to get. So I really don't want to go see Milan and then start coughing up a lung in 3 days. So, No, I'm excited for, the movie theaters to, hopefully they can survive from this, especially with some big blockbuster movies that are hopefully going to bring some excitement back to the movie theater. But I know that a lot of people, again, I know we talked about this before, people are going to be very hesitant to go back to theaters. Me included. I'm going to be in my bubble suit if I can find one.
Now, I imagine that you have been shopping. You've gone out to grocery stores. You've patroned a number of services, right, that have established some measurable control over sanitation, right? So, what would it take for you to feel comfortable to revisit a theater in July, if that's even the case, or does it really not even matter?
Well, as long as I can sit kind of far away from people, because in movie theaters when you sit close to everyone, so hopefully they can space you guys out, but then I feel like then they would be losing out on a lot of money unless they were to upcharge the tickets to from $11 to $18 or something like that a ticket. I don't know what they're going to do, but
I think I did hear some reports suggesting that they would do something like that. And in fact, I know actually at least AMC was implementing a 50% capacity for their theaters. So, people watching films would be spaced 2 or 3 seats away from someone else. And honestly, I wish I wish they just carry that through indefinitely because people...
exactly. Or I'm not in the business of movie theaters, but I'm also thinking if they were to do a bundle deal where your movie ticket's $20, but you get a complimentary popcorn and a drink with it, then maybe that would entice people to come in. I don't know. like a small popcorn, not like a giant popcorn. I'm just trying to think of their cost in order to entice people to come back.
Right. Yeah. It's interesting to say. It seems like at
I
least. What's that?
I said I didn't major in business. I majored in mass communications, broadcast news. I don't know anything about business or running a movie theater, but
Yeah.
just
Well,
an
hey,
idea for.
I didn't major in anything at all. I'm a student of the University of Life, so as a layman speaker, here is my opinion on that.
Yes.
Hey, whatever it is that I think people who want to patron theaters require, I think these establishments should do. I think that would be all in really good form, and honestly would serve their interests and the larger interests out into the future. So let's get the bodies in. Let's do it in a safe and controlled way. And all the more the merrier, in my opinion.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So I'm going to turn it over here to you. Of course, leave me your thoughts, comments down below in the live chat. Highlight my name at MoviePop. And let's move into our 7th topic for the day. And this one, of course, is coming to us again regarding the Sonic sequel being in the works at Paramount Studios. Man, they're really trying to milk Sonic's tits here because Paramount is in desperate need for some liquid cash or liquid Sonic milk at the teats. So Paramount is moving forward with more Sonic the Hedgehog. The studio and Sega Sammy are in early development on a sequel to the video game adaptation. Jeff Fowler will be back in the director's chair with Pat Casey, Josh Miller returning to write the script. Sonic the Hedgehog, of course, is now the highest grossing video game movie of all time domestically here in the US and it was something of an underdog success story. The film went on to be a commercial and critical hit, earning $306.7 million globally, a figure that could go higher as it has not yet opened in China, Japan, and other territories. And of course, keep this in mind, guys, Sonic the Hedgehog, I believe, came out on my wife and I's anniversary, which was the 14th of February. That's our anniversary date. But I think it was somewhere around there because actually that's the first movie we saw together. So firmly ingrained in my head. Anyhow, shortly before the pandemic. So it didn't even get its planned global release. So already, provided that context, it's doing gangbusters with regards to box office. That's also supplemented by the fact that Sonic has been a hit on digital, with Paramount touting it as selling nearly 2 million units after being released early amid the coronavirus pandemic. So let's summarize here. Neil H. Moritz, Toby Asher, and Toru Nakahara are producing the follow-up with Hajime Satomi, Haruki Satomi, and Tim Miller. All of those names, of course, I think most of us don't know. I happen to know because these are executives from Hollywood studios and executives from film production companies and Sega Sammy, the film, I think, development end of Sega. So big names involved in the production of Sonic and are continuing their involvement in the sequel. So, that's a mouthful. Rhiannon, did you see Sonic, and are you...
Never saw it.
Never saw it?
No.
Yeah.
I never saw it, and I didn't see the Pikachu one either, but I hear the Sonic blew Pikachu one out of the water.
Yeah, definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, from what people have told me, they say, like, people who love, like the cartoon video games turned live action, they think that Sonic did so much better. I'm more of like a Witcher fan, like that kind of video game turned live action.
Oh, for sure. Thing. Yeah.
That's my take. Yeah, or Assassin's Creed, like that's my taste. So I'm sorry, I didn't see like Sonic or Pikachu one.
Yeah,
but, hey, if people love Sonic, then I'm all for it. I'm all for giving the audience what they love, and apparently, they can grow on the storyline with Sonic. So keep feeding that to the audience that loves it.
Yeah, I mean, you're comparing, Major League Baseball to amateur wiffle ball with regards to Assassin's Creed and Sonic the Hedgehog. Like, Assassin's Creed. Yeah. What was the other one you mentioned? Yeah.
Witcher. So Witcher's on Netflix, but like Assassin's Creed did the movie, and then they never like did part 2 of it, and I got sucked into part 1. But no, you're like reviving like Sonic the Hedgehog and doing like the second one for that. I'm like, bring back Assassin's Creed, guys.
Right. Yeah. Michael Fassbender.
I thought it was phenomenal.
I haven't seen it, unfortunately, but I'm familiar with the source material, so yeah, it's on my list. But I take your point.
I'm more into like the dark, video games turns live action, not
Yeah,
the fluff
but
Sonic.
I would imagine, I would imagine, yeah, that's probably largely the case for you, but I would imagine that also it has to do with the fact that like Assassin's Creed and Witcher, these are IPs that have a fully fleshed
Yeah.
out like world
Hmm.
building backstory, whereas Sonic the Hedgehog, it literally was a video game about a rodent running around in circles collecting gold rings, and that's it, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
It's just, I don't know, in my opinion, it's like a fluff story. Whereas, like, I like those in depth, like
Yeah.
historical, dark
Right.
video games. Yeah.
But you
Oh,
know,
I could talk to you forever about like video games live action.
oh,
So
I could talk
I'm
to you about video game live action adaptations all day too. So,
yes, yes, but yeah, Sonic. I mean, if people love it, people love it. I should probably watch it because I do like James Marsden, and
right.
he's in it, right? And isn't
Oh
like
yes.
Jim Carrey in it too? He
Yeah,
plays like a
dude,
bad.
that's what sold
Uh,
me on it. Like Jim Carrey, back in full form, wacky, goofy Jim Carrey. Sign me up.
oh, good. He's back. Like he's like back to normal Jim Carrey because he was, you know,
Yeah.
in a weird place for a while.
Yeah. In a weird
Okay,
place.
yeah, he was in a weird place.
Right.
We've all seen his interviews. Yeah, I would like to see Sonic now.
Yeah.
I should give it a try.
All right, guys. So, of course, let me know your thoughts down below over yonder. Without further ado, we're going to move into our next topic, our second to last topic before the end of the broadcast here. And this one is coming to us from Deadline regarding, I'm going to take the lead on this, Rhiannon.
I'm just gonna stay quiet during this one. This is all you.
Good Films Collective taps Daniel Espinosa at the helm of the Jamal Khashoggi murder film. And Garcia Bernal, God, that's a tongue twister. Gal Garcia Bernal stars in a drama on preserving the Sarajevo Haggadah. Let's start. Less than 2 months ago, Good Films Collective head Miriam Siegel was in a spin and described to Deadline how she was battling to keep her company afloat and her employees engaged as she and her son came down with COVID-19. So she's feeling better now, and she's coming back full force with a couple of new projects. Most notably, I thought was very interesting was Gail Garcia Bernal's and Jason Isaac starring in a film titled The People of the Book, a film put together based on the New York Times bestseller and Pulitzer Prize winning author Geraldine Brooks, regarding a historical picture behind the creation of the Sarajevo Haggadah, which honestly, I'm not going to lie to you, I've never even heard of in my life. But apparently, it's an illuminated manuscript that contains the illustrated traditional text of the Passover Haggadah, and I'm probably butchering that pronunciation, which accompanies the Passover Seder, something like that. Anyhow, I'm intrigued. Anything that educates and entertains me is interesting. But I will speak more specifically to this next topic because I found it very interesting. Daniel Espinosa is developing to direct The Execution, a narrative drama about the background to the murder of Jamal Khashoggi, a Saudi Arabian-born dissident and Washington Post columnist who was killed and dismembered after entering the Saudi consulate in Istanbul to get a marriage license. The drama will explore how it happened, and why it happened, and why it happened, or what happened in the aftermath. Now, if you're not familiar with Espinosa, he directed Safe House, the upcoming film Morbius with Jared Leto. And this film is going to basically talk about the Saudi hit team that killed Jamal Khashoggi, who was a journalist that was highly critical of Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. So I think it's all very interesting, and I always support film studios that not only like to make films that entertain, but also educate you. And round of applause for Good Films Collective on presenting films with social context and narrative. I love these kind of films. I thought, besides the banal banter that we have and the fart and dick jokes about, pop culture media, I think it's always good to inject a little bit of something of worthwhile value, especially when it relates to films. So, did you ever happen to see Dark Waters with Mark Ruffalo last year?
Me? No, I did not see that. No, but I do know about like this film about like what happened with the guy getting
Oh, it was so illuminating because it talks about
Yeah.
basically about how DuPont chemical industry created the,
Yeah.
the household product we all know about, which is Teflon. And basically
Mm-hmm.
how it contains a chemical called PFOA, which is like the anti what do you call it, anti-stick component that makes those Teflon pans non-stick.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it also
Yeah.
happens to pollute
Cancer.
the air and cause cancer and all sorts of diseases. And is also, because it's an artificially created compound, does not it's not biodegradable. So when
Right.
it's dumped into the water source, which DuPont did, it stays there indefinitely for like a couple hundred years and just
Right.
degenerates the populations of generations and generations. It was just a totally illuminating film, how the
Right.
company covered it up. And I thought like, wow, like I do appreciate those kind of films from time to time. So,
Yeah, that educate you on things that are actually happening.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of like, I mean, this most recent thing, I mean, we all, I'm sure like most people heard that on the news, and it was quite sad to hear, especially for his wife. So I'll be honest, my only thing I'm going to add to that is I am glad that they're shedding some light on that with a film. I'm just wondering how they're going to portray that.
George Floyd.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jeez,
And
man.
speak up against the Saudi prince, right? Or Saudi king.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't too well educated on what happened, but I did hear about that on the news. So I'm interested in seeing it.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, in truth to testament, right? Like for
Yeah.
you or anybody else watching who isn't familiar with the story, I think that is really the power of cinema. That hey, you may not have been aware, but now you are. You're actively
Yeah,
engaged. You have some context, and now you can branch off and learn about it on your own after viewing a film, right?
exactly. And I think that a lot of times when you put it into film, people are like, "Wow, I had no idea that happened," and then they research what had happened, and then they suddenly have a voice and an
Right.
opinion about a matter. So who knows? Maybe that case will be reopened, and maybe
Yeah.
justice will be brought.
Yeah,
I don't
let's
know.
hope. A lot of political connotations there. But,
There.
to that end, I absolutely have no idea what the hell the Sarajevo Haggadah is, but, hey, now I'll learn watching this movie and
Yeah.
then find out afterwards.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, guys, we're about done here. We're going to move into our last topic. I think we're going to close it out with a bang, with a heartthrob, because if you haven't heard, the sexy Ryan Gosling is
I don't.
tackling.
I'm sorry. He's not sexy. I don't get it.
What?
Anyway, I'll stay quiet. I don't get. I don't. It's like him with Timothy Chalamet, whatever, and the it
No.
guy,
Not
Bill
even.
Skarsgård. Another heartthrob. I just don't understand. I'm
Timothy
sorry.
Chalamet and Bill Skarsgård are like sickly, skinny. Their eyes are sucked in their face, and they look like they're just.
I,
He's
I
beefy.
know.
Look at that. I mean,
I like
is
all
he
three
hot?
of them. I just don't get it.
Yeah.
Does your wife think he is?
Ryan Gosling.
Ryan-
Well, all right. My wife disagrees, but interesting. Well, you know what? Yeah. What's the deal? What is not to love about this beefcake?
and I'm sorry. I don't see him as a Wolfman. I'm
Ah,
sorry. I'm just immediately just gonna say that.
because he's not ugly enough, or is he too ugly?
He's just I like the Del Toro version. Like
Ah,
I'm sorry, like he was a perfect Wolfman
really? That's so
in my
interesting.
in my opinion. I loved that film.
Did you? Okay, so this is interesting because I was going to talk about this. Okay,
Yeah.
shall I just dive into the
I'll
article
shut
and
up.
then?
Dive into it. Yes.
All right. Okay. Cool. We're gonna close out with a bang here. So let's see what the news is, and then we'll jump into the Wolfman as it stands now, and then for the previous film. Ryan Gosling is sinking his teeth into Universal's growing monster universe titles, attached to star in the Wolfman remake, which was written by Orange is the New Black scribes Lauren Schuker and somebody else you've never heard of. The last werewolf pick at Universal was 2010's The Wolfman, had Benicio del Toro in the title, starring alongside Anthony Hopkins, Emily Blunt, and Hugo Weaving. Good lord, star power.
I know.
A director for this latest take has yet to be named, and Universal's forthcoming monster canons includes Elizabeth Banks' Invisible Woman, which comes after Elizabeth Moss's successful turn in The Invisible Man, Paul Feig's Dark Army, Dexter Fletcher's Renfield, and Karen Kusama's Dracula. So, turning it back around to you, because I read this, right? I'm like, wait, 2010 there was a Wolfman movie? How did I miss this? Never heard of it. Looked it up, saw the director, Joe Johnston, who, The Rocketeer, October Sky, Captain America, The First Avenger, among others. Like, fantastic director. And of course, I've listed off the actors. So it seems to me like all the hallmarks of what would make a blowout, awesome film should be in place. And then I saw the Rotten Tomatoes review, and it's not always accurate, but it did dissuade me, 35%. So interesting that you said it's one of your favorite films. Rhiannon, correct me here. What's up?
I loved it. Well, I wouldn't put it up there as like one of my favorite films, but I mean, it was so dark and so damn good. And Anthony Hopkins, oh, he's always so good. I love like the whole historical aspect of it. So and Del Toro, I mean, he was a phenomenal, believable Wolfman. I mean, right. Wolfmen are not believable at all, but I really liked that one. So I don't know how they're going to make Ryan Gosling into. I'm just seeing him as like a blonde werewolf. I can't help it, but like I'm just seeing him like turn into like a blonde werewolf.
I'm curious how that might work out, because it seems to me, Ryan Gosling always plays these kind of very straight-faced, somber roles, right? Where he's not necessarily emoting like how I am, like with my hands and my eyes are fully articulated and facial expressions are so like almost over-exaggerated. That's just how I am. Ryan Gosling, he's very like somber. Like he's basically
very straight-faced.
He's like exuding this kind of like depressed emo aura. Right, that's kind of his shtick. So, do you? He
definitely shed his Disney background.
Yeah,
his Mickey Mouse days.
How do you think that? Do you think that would channel like into the character of the Wolfman? Since you've seen the 2010 adaptation, I'm not familiar with the property, to be honest.
Oh my gosh, I want you to go back and watch the 2010. The 2010 one was phenomenal. I really liked it. So I don't know why is it going to be a remake?
I think so.
Wolfman?
Reboot, remakes.
Reboot. I wonder if it's going to be a historical one like the last one was. It was like based in like the 1800s. So I wonder if this one's going to be more modernized. I have no idea.
Gotcha.
He always does I feel like he always does like the action bad boy role. So I wonder if he's going to be like Fast and Furious, like driving around, like transforming into a werewolf. I don't know. Right. I don't know. I'm just picturing like that's what's going to happen with like Ryan Gosling.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, again, like I have my opinions before something's made, and then I'll see the trailer and I go, "Oh man, that's mind blowing!" Like I didn't see that coming. I really hope that they bring justice to the Wolfman.
This is true. A trailer could totally turn the tides on what our expectations may be. Point in case, and I'm going to go to our viewer comment here. Point in case, 1999, a little known film called Austin Powers Man of Mystery dropped a trailer. And I thought, as a 10-year-old kid, this looks like the stupidest movie ever. I have no interest in seeing this. Fast forward, what was probably a year later on VHS tape, I watched this movie and it's one of the greatest films that ever like impacted me in my life to this day. So yeah. I'm going to turn it over here to Paul in Long Beach. He says, "Oh, for fuck's sake, DJ, it's one out of many bland Universal monster movies." You're not wrong about that. What do we have? The Mummy. I don't know if Brendan Fraser's Mummy series counts, but you had the Tom Cruise reboot or soft reboot, The Mummy.
And I like that. I was sucked into that. Yeah. I like that one too. But I'm sucked for any like.
You might be at odds here with Paul then.
I know, but I don't know. I like spooky things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tom Cruise's was a little dumb, but I don't know. I think I was more drawn into the storyline of the female mummy. But they didn't elaborate on it enough, I don't think. I really like the original Mummy. I'll shut up.
Of course.
Sorry.
Of course. No, I love the original Mummy too. I don't think that was a Universal Monsters Universe entry proper. So, yeah, from what I've read from the critic consensus regarding these films, Paul, I think I'm on board with you. Not having seen these films myself, but then of course reviews are not always totally accurate. So then I lend myself to the possibility of what Rhiannon has said, and that like she liked these films and she enjoyed them. They're not the greatest things ever, but they were good and competent films. So that surprises me. I will say, however,
I promise you.
What's that?
It's not Scorsese. It's just,
okay, right?
It's like little scares,
Cool.
little jump scares. It's not phenomenally written. It's just visually entertaining.
Yeah. I will lower my expectations then to a expectation of having it visually entertaining and not exceeding that threshold. But Paul, I think it's interesting that you mentioned that. Yeah, he says here, continues, he says, thanks, Rhiannon. Bland is bland. I think that may be true, Paul, but did you see the most recent Invisible Man? I thought if we're talking about rebooting the Universal Monster Universe, starting off with a fresh entry, The Invisible Man, I thought it was a fresh take. It was an awesomely executed movie. What more could I ask for? So if they're continuing in the vein of that style of production and reimagining, I think I have confidence in a Ryan Gosling. He's an Academy Award-winning A-list actor. Yeah. Despite what Rhiannon has said, she just wants to be a blonde werewolf.
I just shreds, but I'm probably going to change my mind in a week.
Once you see the trailer, right? Yeah.
Once I see that, well, whenever the trailer eventually comes out, I'm going to be like, oh, this is the best thing ever.
Right. I'm interested, guys. We've got opinions all around the house here. So, of course, turning it back to you, me loves, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below in the live chat by highlighting my name at MoviePop. But you know what? I think we're out of time for today. We've wrapped up 9 topics. We forgoed 10 topics this week because I couldn't find a 10th topic, and I didn't want to go over 1 hour. So, thank you all so much for being here. Of course, remember, follow me on social media. We've got the links down below in the description. You can also check me out on Instagram. It's at MoviePopOfficial. On Twitter, at RealMoviePop. Our website is moviepop.org. And of course, if you want to find Rhiannon, would you mind telling them where our lovely viewers can find you?
Yeah, this is Rhiannon on Instagram. And if you like to watch travel stuff, that's what I post. Except right now I'm in quarantine, so a lot of photos of my apartment now, guys.
Guys, I've got Rhiannon's links down below in the descriptions as well, so you can find her on Instagram at this is Rhiannon, on Instagram at this is Rhiannon. So, guys, thank you all so very much for being here. It's been a pleasure as always. We were supposed to take a 2-week break, but I decided, you know what, the internet connection looks good here in the hotel in San Francisco. Why not? Let's do a broadcast. But guess what? Next week, we're moving this bad boy to Tejas. So we're going to take probably a week, maybe 2-week break at that period. So I might not see you until June. So stay tuned. Follow us on social media, of course, stay up to date. Beyond that, though, thank you all so much for tuning in, and we'll see you sometime soon.